we are going to be doing something very special. So this week is Lunar New Year, or in the Vietnamese we call it Tet. And Lunar New Year's is just a great way for family to come together, to eat lots of yummy food, and to remember all of our past relatives, as well as just to celebrate the year that we had and to kind of bring in the good luck for this upcoming year. So today we are going to be cooking something with a very special guest person, and this person is very near and dear to my heart. I love them very much, and they will actually be showing us how to cook a really yummy and hearty Vietnamese dish, which is great to cook during the winter time when it's really cold. So normally for New Year's, or at least in my family, the day of New Year's, so this year it's on the 12th, the day of, we eat strictly vegan food all day, but the day before, so this year it will be the 11th, we eat and we cook fish, chicken, beef, all this stuff. So this dish will be meat-based because it is going up before New Year's, and it will be meat-based. So if you are vegetarian or vegan, unfortunately, this dish is not for you unless you substitute it with tofu. You can do all the steps the same. The cooking time will drastically be reduced by about half because you are cooking with tofu instead of meat. But we are going to see who my special guest speaker is. Today we're going to be celebrating New Year's with my mom.
Hi.
So she's actually going to show us how to cook bacao, which is like a stew. So we're going to get started with the one thing that we always do before we clean the counter first. And now we're going to wash our hands. Alright, so we're going to sing our wash our hands song. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Now we're going to wash off all the soap, dry our hands after, and then I'm going to wash my hands and we are ready to.
And you go home. You have to wash. You put a little bit salt in the meat. And you wash again, but only cold water.
Yeah, so obviously this part an adult will have to do it. But if you want your little one involved, we're also going to need a carrot. This has already been peeled.
Lemon lime,
Lemongrass,
and
green onion,
and garlic,
and we have garlic here as well.
and the spice.
And this is a very specific spice. You can find it in any
store, Chinese store.
any Chinese grocery store.
And when you buy like that, you wash the salt, everything, you make it right, and you see the slice like that. See, you have to cut. See, you cut like that. See, they have three, you cut three. and you put here, you cut small you want, how big you want, but I like that. Từ mai không muốn cắt nữa, hay là cắt nữa cho nó còn. See, you cut like that. You put in. See, they have 3 in here. You have to remove like that. Okay? But that's enough. You don't need a lot. You put only that meat. You put that black pepper. That's sugar. Because in here they have spice already, you don't need a lot. And a little bit salt, that's it. And 1 table olive oil. And you make, don't put a lot of salt in here. Yeah, now the rest of it.
Alright, so now we're gonna let the meat marinate while we prepare everything else. So if you want your little one involved, the carrot is gonna be too hard for them to cut. So you're gonna get some aluminum foil. And this will be just a little tiny bit. You're gonna scrunch it up. And then you're gonna get your little one to peel the carrot that way. Just by scraping it off with the aluminum foil, and your little one can do that part. But obviously they won't be able to do the cutting part.
You need 1 onion. And you wash, okay?
And make sure you wash all the veggies.
And now I cut carrot for you to see. See that small? You need like that. See that too big? You cut a half. That you keep like that. But that you need like that.
You can cut them smaller if you want,
Yeah,
for your little ones.
Small. Because đưa cái tô thịt mà. Put right here. You see the meat like that, you cut carrot like that. Because when you cook, they soak together. Okay, but you want the meat smaller, you cut carrot smaller.
Yeah, so you pretty much want everything bite size.
See? Like that. Same meat, same size the meat I have. See now like that, you have to go like that. And you need only 1 enough because the meat not too much. You need only 1 carrot and 1 onion. The onion when you cut, you make sure they open like that.
And your little one can help you with this part. Try and peel it.
You peel like that. See? When they do that, don't put the hand in the eye. See now the garlic? You go like that. And you go smaller. And you put behind here. And now lemongrass. You cut a half and go like that. Make sure you take one like that out and tie.
Why?
Because when you cook in a meat, you don't want to go all over place. You need tie when you finish cook, you remove that outside. And you tie. And if you don't want to remove nowhere, open that, put inside. See?
So it looks like this. And if you've never seen lemongrass before, it smells exactly like lemon. Like if lemon and grass were together.
And now for green onion, see the white one, you cut like that. After you put in the meat, it look nice. See? Cut smaller. See? Now the green. The green, you have a half here, you hold, and you do smaller. Because the white one you cut like that. See? The green one you cut around. It look nice.
Yeah, so she cut the white ones on an angle, and then she just cut the green ones on like a straight edge.
And that one I need a half. One and a half. That's it. That I need. That one. When you have that meat, you need 1 1/2. Now you need olive oil. Before you put 1 spoon in here, now you need only 1 spoon. See the oil hot? The oil hot, right? And you put garlic and onion in. You have to lower the heat a halfway. You have to lower heat a halfway, and you take same spoon. You see it turn yellow like that.
One generous spoon of ketchup.
Yeah. And now you put everything in. Now you put the put that higher because I put low before. I don't want the ketchup to burn and the onion.
And you're just gonna keep mixing.
And you need 1 bowl water.
So the same bowl that you put your meat in, it'll be 1 bowl of that, of water.
And now you put through here.
So after a few minutes,
3 minutes and put that on.
yeah, we're gonna put the little cubes in there.
Yeah. Because when you cook later, the meat is no good. You have to cook few minutes. I do with the oil and you put inside.
For extra flavor. So again, this recipe, your little one won't be able to help you as much as all of our previous ones, but because it's getting really cold now, I figured.
See when the meat like that, see?
This is a really hearty and nice warm
and now
stew.
I put the water in. The ketchup color, and now you cook for 1 hour. You cook around half an hour. You put carrot on. When you see they boil, wait, okay, when they boil, I take everything dirty out and I put that in, but not now. You see the white one?
Yeah.
That's the dirty.
So when it starts to boil,
you have to remove
yeah, when she means dirty, she means the fat from the meat.
the fat, yeah.
So you're gonna have to remove the fat from the meat, from the top of the stew before you add in anything else. So she's gonna take a spoon and she's gonna skim the top to remove any of the fat that kind of boiled up to the top.
See like that? Put in the bowl.
The key to a really good Vietnamese stew or soup is how clear the broth is. So, which is why she's removing all of the fat. And now she's just gonna wait for it to boil some more. Alright, so as it's been boiling, my mom has been removing all of the fat. So as it keeps boiling, more fat will appear on the surface. So we want to make sure
everything's clear.
Yeah, we want to make sure that this is a very clear broth. It's only been, I would say, like 5-10 minutes. And still clearing the broth as it continues to try and boil. And the more fat you remove from the broth now, the easier it's going to be for you later, and then just the more clean flavor you'll have.
Cái này nó không muốn bỏ potato everything okay, nhưng mà má chan cái đó thôi. Sweet potato good.
So she's saying if you want, or if you have potatoes or sweet potato, just to make it even more hearty for you and your family, you can add it in there. But we're not adding that today. But sweet potato is really good in here. Potatoes really good in here.
Okay, now
So now that the broth
clear.
is nice and clear, she's gonna add in the lemongrass stalk. And again, you're gonna want to keep it all intact because you're gonna remove it at the end. You don't actually eat the lemongrass.
You see the lid?
Yeah, so you're gonna cover it.
And you low, very low.
Yeah, so it's now
Make it cook.
on low.
I cook half an hour.
Yeah.
I cook half an hour. And after that, I tell you what to do.
All right, so it's been half an hour.
Cook that.
Yeah, and if you want, you can, this part, you can go ahead and taste the soup, see if it's to your liking. This is the point where you might add a little bit of salt or a little bit of pepper.
Pepper you want.
But hold off on the sugar because we are now going to add the carrots.
We add the carrot now because we cook half an hour already, and now we add the carrot.
So the carrots should give it a bit of a sweet taste to the stew. And then at the end, you're going to try the soup again. And if at that point you think it needs a little bit of sugar, then you can add it in. But you want the stew to taste a little bit salty, a little bit sweet.
Yeah. See, when you put the carrot on, the heat rate a little bit warm. Now you put back a little bit higher, not too high, a little bit higher. And when they bubble again, and put low again. And you put half an hour, around 20 minutes, you see the carrot soft and the meat okay, and you done. If no, 10 or 15 more minutes. I cook around 50 or 1 hour. That's why I cook meat half an hour first, and I add carrot on.
And this is for this amount of meat. So this is enough to feed about 3-4 people.
4 people.
Yeah.
And now mới làm dầu.
Yeah. So this step is optional, but because at the beginning, if you remember, we've taken out all the fat, so it's lost a little bit of its color.
They lost the color.
So we're gonna try to add color back into it, but again, this is optional. You don't have to do this. So she's
If
gonna.
you want the color, you do. If you don't want fat.
Yeah, if you want to be fancy, you can. But
you need a little bit oil. You don't need a lot. See?
so it's just enough to cover a really small saucepan. And then I don't know if you can see it, but my mom has stored the oil that we're about to make into this little jar. Yeah, so they're called annetto seeds. Again, you can find these at, I guess, any Chinese supermarket.
Because you see, you need I think a little bit more, 1 spoon table. You need the hot, okay?
Yeah, like a generous tablespoon of olive oil.
But not too hot, the oil minimum hot, and you put that on.
It's just to give it color. They're not spicy.
Nothing, only color.
Yeah. So if you're worried about spice, it's not spicy at all. Yeah. So before we took out all the fat, it was like a nice rich red color, but since we kept skimming the fat off, it lost a little bit of that rich redness.
See, now they warm. Now they warm, right? See, you see the air, the warm. You have to blow the.
Yeah.
Put more heat.
So take it off the heat. And then that's about like a teaspoon.
You only need like that.
Yeah, like a teaspoon.
You have to remove the oven. See the color? Because you don't put in the oven very too hot and they look like medicine.
Oh yeah. If you leave it on the stove, it becomes bitter.
That's why you can do like that. See?
Yeah, so when you put the seeds on, make sure that the oil's off.
Yeah. But the oil make sure not hot, minimum. Okay. Mà bỏ lên chút ở đây thì tắt lửa.
Yeah. But yeah, that was only a few seconds.
Few seconds, you don't need too much, but don't put the oil too hot because they thick, right?
It's bitter. And then you're gonna remove the seeds.
Yeah, you remove the seed. Chừng mới làm nó lấy cái lược đó. Cái lược nó cho nó thấy. And when you done with the whole like that, make sure they don't fall out. And you hold. You go like that.
And just so that the seeds don't dry out.
You need only that table, but not heavy. Only go.
Yeah, don't be too heavy-handed with it.
See? Bởi vì con nếu như mà cái dầu nó đắng á, nó nóng á. Cái này nó burn, nó đắng.
She's saying if the oil is too hot, then you're gonna burn the seeds and it's gonna become bitter.
Bitter, yeah.
And the point of the oil is to get the coloring and not to add any flavor to it.
Because if you do too much, you need the small jar you put in.
And then you can make a lot of it
And you save it.
And you save it and you use it for other stuff.
See, now I do that and you can see.
Yeah. My mom uses this in fish too. When she cooks fish.
See, now you go like that. See, you hold. See it? When they cool down, you open that and you keep in here when you need it. You get it, but they too hot, right? I don't put in yet. But that's the same thing.
Hi, Editing Kim here. So my mom's voice was very quiet in this part, so I'm going to do her voiceover for her. So she's been cooking the meat, the stew, for about an hour and 20 minutes instead of 15 minutes because the meat was still not tender enough for her. But now that it is, she's raised the temperature back up, and this is cornstarch that she is putting in her bowl. If you don't have cornstarch, you can use flour, but we are now going to thicken up the stew. My mom prefers cornstarch just because cornstarch thickens it better than flour would. But you can still go ahead and use flour. She adds in just a little bit of water so that it looks like milk almost. But the reason you want to turn up the temperature is because this way the cornstarch can cook, which will thicken up the stew. So as we wait for it to boil back up again, we want that to have the consistency that we want. And we're just going to wait for the stew to come up to a higher temperature so that it can properly cook the cornstarch and get it to thicken. And while we wait for that, we are going to remove the lemongrass. And she's saying here that's why it's convenient to tie up the lemongrass at the beginning so that you can just pick all of it out at once. Now you're going to grab a ladle now that the stew is boiled or is boiling, and we're going to add in the cornstarch or your flour slurry one label at a time to get it to the consistency that you want. You want it just a little bit thick. You don't want it too thick. And the reason that the whole time the stew had been on simmer and not on boil is because you still want all the liquids to remain, and then this is the part where we try to thicken it up. So my mom put in about 3 half ladles of the cornstarch, and this is the 4th. She hasn't filled it to the top, so these are all half. So about 2 full ladles of her cornstarch slurry or your flour slurry, and you're going to mix it up. And then she goes in and she reduces the heat back to low again, because this is the part where she is going to add that oil. that we created before. Again, this is the optional step if you want. And she's gonna try to put color back in, so she doesn't have too much oil in the ladle, but she starts off with a little bit, mixes it up, and is going to go back in to get some more color to her desired depth of red. But like I mentioned before, you don't have to do this step. This is just to make it look good. And then she turns it off, and that is what the stew looks like. So there's a little bit of oil left over, so she's just going to drizzle the rest on. And then you can go ahead and save any of this oil if you decide to make it in a jar, because the oil is now cool enough. And then you can save it for either fish or curry, any of that stuff. And if you have any left over in your bowl like that, then go ahead and pour a little bit of the liquid, and then you can put it in there.
Okay, now we cook finish. Now we eat now. We have to xí cái nước nó mình gì thôi. Cũng đặc hơn thì con làm đặc hơn không?
So if you want to make it thicker, you
Thicker
can,
you can do.
but this is good enough.
That enough before you eat noodle or you eat bread. Today we eat bread, and you want noodle, that enough.
And you can actually freeze the broth and the meat. You won't be able to freeze the carrots. So if you make a big batch of this, you can put it in an airtight container and stick it in the freezer for
1 month, 2 months, doesn't matter because you have to freeze it.
1 to 2 months. You just can't cook a lot of carrots because the carrots won't be as good
They don't
if
be
you
good.
freeze.
And that's why after you remove, you have to cook carrot again in a meat.
But the meat and the broth you can freeze.
See? And now you take the color. See?
You garnish it with these spring onions.
Spring onion on. You put a little bit that.
If you want, you can garnish it with lime.
Lamb, a little bit, or hot pepper,
Only if you can handle spice.
and a little bit black pepper. You can take the bread,
And you dip and you eat.
okay, bye, see you next time.
So I hope you enjoyed my mom walking us through how to make bakal. Like I mentioned throughout the video, this is a great dish to make for everyone at home on a winter day. I think a lot of people grew up with chicken noodle soup as their comfort soup growing up, but this was mine when I was growing up. Brings back a lot of really great memories, and I hope you guys try this at home. And if you do, let us know and show us what you guys did, and if you added potatoes or sweet potato like my mom said to do. But I hope you like it. If you enjoyed this, and if you enjoyed my mom talking us through, then let us know, and maybe she can show up for something else, and maybe do like a Vietnamese dessert that your little one can be a little bit more hands-on and involved in. But remember to like and subscribe to this video and to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, and if you have any questions, please follow us on Facebook. We have a bunch of cooking videos on our channel, and a playlist has been created. And I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.